Did you know that there are cantrips that aren't Fireball or Eldritch Blast? I know, wild concept, but trust me, D&D is packed with amazing spells that do more than just roll damage. So before you fill up your spellbook, allow me to show you why branching out to other cantrips might make you the MVP of your next session. Starting off, we have arguably the most powerful cantrip in all of 5th edition, Mind Sliver. You attack the mind of a creature within 60 feet, forcing them to make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, they take 1d6 psychic damage and must subtract 1d4 from their next saving throw. The spell scales as you level like other cantrips, capping out at 4d6, but let's be honest, we're not here for the damage, we're here for the saving throw reduction. For the low price of a single cantrip, you effectively get a single target bane that allows other spells like Hold Person, Fireball, or anything else a greater chance of success. And since it sticks around until the end of your next turn, it gives you and your party ample time to capitalize on the debuff. But the real reason this spell is so damn powerful is because it utilizes intelligence saving throws, and most creatures in D&D 5th edition have about the mental fortitude of a soggy piece of bread. Statistically, it's the worst save amongst all creatures in 5th edition, and realistically, the only creatures that have proficiency in intelligence saves are things like liches or mind flayers. So unless you're fighting a traditionally intelligent boss, this spell has a pretty darn good chance of sticking. Sure, it's not as flashy as Fireball or Eldritch Blast, but it's not about being flashy, it's about synergy. And if you're able to pair this with other spells or strategies, then you've got yourself a cantrip that punches well above its weight. It might not be the loudest spell in your arsenal, but it allows the rest of your kit and your party to shine brighter. Really, if you're not already putting Mind Sliver in your rotation, then you're doing your spellbook a huge disservice. Next up, we have a cantrip that I've actually very rarely hear about, and that would be Encode Thoughts. Think back to the scene in Harry Potter where Dumbledore puts a wand to his head and pulls a memory out and drops it into a bird bath of plot relevance. That's pretty much Encode Thoughts. With this cantrip, you can take a memory, thought, idea, and pull it from your head and make it into a tangible thought strand that lasts up to 8 hours. You can share or receive whatever thought or memory was within the thought strand through the casting of the spell. And that might sound incredibly confusing, and that's because it is. This spell is incredibly poorly worded. And quite honestly, I'm not entirely sure that I fully understand it, but I think I do. Anyways, if you're concentrating on another spell like Detect Thoughts, you can yank someone else's memories out instead. Or if you wanted to get crazy, you could use a spell like Modify Memory and adjust what the thought strand actually holds. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the memory sharing. Imagine you're an adventurer trying to convince a Thane that a dragon is real and that dragon just leveled an entire neighboring city. Did I just take that example from Skyrim? Maybe. Instead of fumbling over your words, you just pull your memory of the carnage, hand it to the Thane, and then let them see for themselves. Instant credibility, no persuasion checks required. Assuming they understand magic. But the cantrip's real power is how it plays with other spells. Using Detect Thoughts on an NPC allows you to pull one of their own memories into a thought strand and have it received for later, or alter it and spread it like some AI deepfake of Elon Musk trying to push his new cryptocurrency. Seriously, have you seen those bots? They're everywhere. Honestly though, I might love this spell, but it's definitely not for everyone. If your campaign is less social intrigue or political espionage and more face roll goblins and loot treasure, you might find it hard to justify taking it. It might also require some buy-in from your DM just because of how poorly worded it is. For example, can you yank a memory from a hostile creature's brain? Does the memory show exact events as they happen in front of that creature, or does it show their perceived perception of that event? There's so many possible questions that could come up when you're using the spell that you should definitely talk to your DM in advance before picking it up. But if you're in a game with complex NPCs, political shenanigans, or just have an opportunity to outsmart your enemies, then this spell is definitely a game changer. Next up, we're diving into the Swiss Army knife of cantrips with Minor Illusion. If D&D had a most popular cantrip award that they gave out yearly, then this one would have been the reigning champion since its inception in 2014. Minor Illusion gives you a simple choice. Create a sound or image of an object within 30 feet. The sound can range anywhere from a subtle whisper to an ear-splitting scream, and the image must fit within a 5-foot cube and can't move, make noise, or smell. Look, sometimes it comes up in DM. I've had players ask me if they can make a spell called Ghost Smell before. The reason Minor Illusion is so powerful isn't because of anything in its description, but rather the creativity it allows for. It doesn't deal damage or blow stuff up, but it is a playground for your imagination. The spell's simplicity is its strength, giving you near limitless applications in and out of combat. And to give you an idea, let's go over a few uses of what I mean. Need to sneak past a guard? Minor Illusion a sound of someone calling for a guard just a little distance away or around a corner. Need to hide? Minor Illusion a boulder and simply jump behind it, no one would know the wiser. 5 feet's a big area to jump behind. Or for a more comedic approach to Minor Illusion, why not create a treasure chest and ready trap spells like Grease and watch as your enemies gleefully dive toward the bait only to get Indiana Jones did. Indiana Jones did. Indiana Jones? You know what I mean. Minor Illusion does have restrictions, however, being only a 30-foot range and no movements for the illusions. But the thing is that the spell is so versatile that these limits don't really feel restrictive and more so just act as a puzzle for your creativity to solve. Ultimately, Minor Illusion is the perfect tool for players who like to think outside of the box. Or inside of a 5-foot box. It's low cost, high reward, and a perfect example of how utility spells can change the game. So if you've ever been in a spot where you need a utility spell that can do a little bit of everything, then pull out the good old Minor Illusion. Now sliding into our 4th slot for today is the classic Ray of Frost. What do you mean Ray of Frost? Not Firebolt? Blah blah blah. No, I made it in the intro. You should already know it's not going to be in the list. I like Ray of Frost better, but let's talk about what it does. You hurl a blast of cold energy at a creature you can see within 60 feet, dealing 1d8 cold damage. Any creature hit by this beam has their movement speed reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. On paper, sure, Ray of Frost is weaker than other cantrips like Firebolt or Eldritch Blast. After all, 1d8 is technically lower than the 1d10 of Fireball, and it lacks the Eldritch Blast scalability with invocations. But much like Mind Sliver, Ray of Frost's strength doesn't lie in so much the damage as it does its secondary effect. Slowing a creature by 10 feet for a round might not sound like much, until you realize what that means in practicality. The vast majority of creatures in 5th edition have a movement speed of 30 feet. Reducing their movement speed to 20 cuts their movement capabilities by 33%, which is a huge deal in combat where positioning is everything. For example, if you need to keep a bruiser enemy away, just Ray of Frost them and backpedal to safety. They probably aren't going to catch up with you. Suddenly, they're forced to use their action dash to get to you, which is just a roundabout way of saying that they're not going to be attacking you this round. Yes, Firebolt and Eldritch Blast do technically deal more damage, but consider that their averages are only 1 point of damage apart, being 4.5 to 5.5. This means if you cast Ray of Frost 10 times, you would have only dealt 10 more damage had you chosen to use Firebolt or Eldritch Blast instead. But considering that Ray of Frost can potentially remove attacks from the board and its value skyrockets well above its higher damage cousins. It's not about dealing damage, it's about dictating the terms of the fight. So if you're tired of the zug zug bigger number better style of play, then Ray of Frost is here to spice up your spellcasting. And finally, we move away from combat with the ultimate communication cantrip, Message. You point at a creature within 120 feet and send them a secret message that only they can hear. But not only can they hear your message, they can also respond to your message with a whisper that only you can hear. The spell does work through solid objects provided that you are familiar with the creature you're trying to communicate with. However, it cannot pierce magical silence or a foot of material. Now, Message might sound really boring and one-dimensional, but it can be used for a multitude of purposes similar to that of Minor Illusion. For example, you can send a message to an enemy or just a creature, maybe a guard, and confuse or distract them with some sort of cryptic message or warning. You can keep in communication with the rogue as they scout on ahead, or set up an ambush without uttering a word. Honestly, Message is a perfect cantrip for players who like to stay one step ahead of their enemies. It's not flashy, but it is endlessly practical, making it one of the most reliable tools in your spellbook. So whether you're sneaking through a dungeon, setting up an ambush, or trying to keep your party from accidentally blowing their cover, this spell has you covered. But what do you think? Are these the top 5 must-have cantrips for D&D 5th edition, or did I miss some? Leave a comment below and let me know. And hey, if you're looking for more ways to enjoy the game, why not hit the like button and subscribe for more epic spell breakdowns, combos, and maybe a few DM tips or two for DMs who have players that might like videos like this one. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.